Welcome back, guys. I am Kyle Wong with Moxie, Colorado,
I'm Corey Martin with Bank of England Mortgage.
and this is the Innovator, the Imitator, and the Idiot, our real estate podcast, keeping a bottom shelf here, helping educate you guys a little bit about what we do and the real estate market and really the industry as a whole. So, that was really long. But on that note, we're going to be talking about getting into the industry and what that means and what that looks like, and then some of our personal experiences with
Yeah.
that.
It sounds good. So, Kyle, most people, as far as like their knowledge of the real estate industry goes, they know one person that is involved with the real estate industry. The real estate agent.
Yeah.
And that's it, right? You know, they in their mind, the whole industry begins and ends with the real estate agent,
Mhm.
right? Can you tell me a little bit more about what an agent does?
Absolutely, yeah, and it seems like they're everywhere. If you don't know at least 3 real estate agents, I don't know where you're at because I would love to be there.
Right.
But so a real estate agent, we're going to keep this all pretty simple because we can go pretty deep into this topic, right? I mean, it's just like anything else. You can have a very complex role that's individually defined depending on your area or the way you have things structured. But in general, your real estate agent is a person that is licensed, at least in the United States of America, licensed per federal and state requirements, right? They have to be licensed and it has to be active. And they are recognized by the state. From there, you can get what's called a realtor designation. I actually had somebody call me up and ask me about that. A real estate agent, as determined by your state, right, like your license, is different from a realtor with the little R. They got the little symbol on there. You've
Yep.
seen commercials. The realtor is somebody who's held to a slightly higher standard, but that's what gets them access to their local MLS, the multiple listing service, which is that software that realtors use. And like I said, they're held to slightly different standards, higher standards, ethics, stuff like that. And they usually do a little bit better of a job. But yeah.
Yeah.
They're the ones who deal with real estate agents in general, realtors. I'm going to use that term pretty synonymously, but they're the ones who are shopping for houses for you, writing up contracts for you. They're the ones that are part of the realties and the real estate groups and all those teams. They do a lot of the putting the pieces together for the project. I would like to consider them as usually the shoppers and the project managers in the real estate transaction.
Right.
But let me tell you, there are so many people behind the scenes working on your deal.
Yeah.
And so going into that, I know that was a very high level view. The next person I would say is in your corner. Actually, I say this on my buyer's consultations. I say there are at least 2 people in your corner, me and your financial guy. Talk to him next. What does your lender or your mortgage broker or your mortgage lender or whatever,
Right.
what do they do?
Absolutely. So much like a real estate agent, your lender, your loan officer or broker, they are licensed. So they have to register and obtain a license through either a state regulatory agency or a federal regulatory agency as well. And what their job is, so you talk to the agent in a lot of the real estate transactions. You talk to an agent if you're looking to purchase a home first, and then the agent says, let me introduce you to a lender. Or, you may come across a lender first, but you do have to speak with a lender in order to purchase a home unless you have the $600,000 cash that or whatever, if you're looking at a $400,000 house, then you would need $400,000 plus, closing costs, so like maybe call it like 410.
Yeah.
You would need all of that money cash to purchase that home. If you don't have that, then you would need to leverage a lender. What they would do is they would determine the best loan option for you. So it could be a conventional loan, an FHA loan. You could be looking at comparing a bank statement loan or versus another type of loan, like a conventional loan, depending on what you qualify for, what kind of income you need or you have. So they're comparing your loan options and determining which one best suits your needs for you or helps you make that decision. They also gather the documents that are needed to legally purchase a home. Right? If we're looking to lend, $400,000, we kind of got to know a little bit more about you than like your name.
Right.
Your name and like where you're from, right? So things like your pay stubs, your tax returns, your W-2s, any of the information that may be needed to say that you're legally divorced, or that you are no longer responsible for, the certain debts that were a part of your bankruptcy. That's their job, and they also do things like ordering the appraisal.
Yep.
Or disputing the appraisal, things like that. And so your lender is, again, the financial person, and they are, while the agent has certain ties to the property, the lender also has ties to the property as well, in that they are lending the funds to purchase the property. So, two different roles. But very, very important, and you kind of think of them as your lawyers if you're going to trial to purchase a home.
That's exactly what I say. Yeah, I mean, while we're two of the main people in your corner, so as you mentioned, we're licensed by the state, meaning we're held to certain legal repercussions if things were to go sideways. We're almost always the ones that take the brunt of legal force in most scenarios, just so you guys know, which is also really fun.
Yep.
But I always say it like this, right? Do you hire a tax professional to deal with tax-related issues for you? When you go into a lawsuit, God forbid, if you ever had to, you hire a law professional, right? So we don't technically practice law. We deal with a lot of the laws that are real estate related. So more financing, more of the other stuff. So that's why I always say it's very important to hire a real estate agent and a lender, somebody that's competent and qualified, because you want people to pick things up that you don't, right? Because I always say this, you should be doing what you do. You have your full-time job, you've got your family, you've got your hobbies. Let me do what I do, right? Because people ask this too. Well, do I need a lender? Actually, no. If you're not financing, you don't. Do you need a real estate agent? Technically, no, you don't. Our job is to make it super duper easy for you, though, and that you have no legal repercussions whatsoever, because this should be a good transaction. We want it to go smoothly. We want it to go well. And so, having those professional designations and licenses and all of these things, insurance, by the way, we're both insured, which is a big deal if things were to go sideways, because things can get pricey really fast. You want people like us in your corner to protect you from all the unknowns, because let's just say you do get licensed, because I have this happen all the time. Oh, I used to be a real estate agent. Like, it's not that bad. Yeah, well, there's a reason why you're not anymore. Also, laws change. And not to call anybody out. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it like that. But, things do change very quickly. In fact, once a year, we have to take something that's called the annual commission update, meaning everything that's changed specifically in the state-regulated contract, but also all of the laws that affect real estate that have changed, statutes, House bills, Senate bills, all that kind of stuff that goes into it. So there's a lot of nuance, and I would highly recommend, like most professionals would, that you hire a professional for that reason, because I'm assuming most of you guys don't scour, state websites looking at new regulations that come up. So
I think that's it. I think that's part of it, is that there are things that we have to do to maintain our industry knowledge that just allow us to perform to the best of our ability for our clients, right? I think the number one thing that I think of as a lender and as an agent is our fiduciary duty to our clients, right? And that's our responsibility to make sure that you're getting that's our responsibility to you, right? To make sure that we make you whole, or not even whole, but I guess the best way to put it is that our responsibility is to you, and make sure that the outcome of the situation is in your best interest, right? We're negotiating or working on your best interest. And so if you are looking to get into the industry, and being able to work on someone's best interest is something that entices you or is exciting to you, then becoming a real estate agent or being a lender is something that you should look into. That said, there are a ton of other options for you out there as far as getting into the real estate industry that aren't tied to becoming a real estate agent or becoming a loan officer.
Exactly.
What are some of those roles like?
Good question, Corey. Thank you for asking. And that's a good point. I I always tell my clients, like, I would love to be the one point of contact that you have to make everything that you do easier. Obviously, you have to talk to a lender because there's confidential information that needs to be exchanged between you two alone. But if I can handle the contractors and the title reps and insurance and all that stuff, I would love to do as much as I can to take that weight off your plate. That being said, most people think of, perhaps your mortgage guy, your lender, or your real estate agent. We are by no means the only parties to the transaction. I think I heard there's somewhere upward of 30 people that touch transaction at any given time, which I totally believe. But your primary players, we actually have a list here because there's so many. A title representative, right? So a title company, if you don't know, are the people that can hold funds, escrowed funds, or otherwise, as well as dealing with documents, making sure that the deed is right, the previous deed and the deed that they're issuing to you, all the fun stuff. And again, that might sound familiar because he deals with money too. There's a lot of crossover, but really it's a lot of us handing one thing to one party and then handing it back to another.
Yeah, and I think it's important to specify that. So when we're talking about documents, right? Like as the lender, my job is to gather your income documents, your work history, things like that that are going to pertain to your ability to qualify and repay this loan that we're going to give you. That said, the title representatives, they don't care if you qualify. That's not their job. Their biggest thing is getting the money from the buyer to the seller as far as the funds go. And then as far as documents, you mentioned something about the deed, right? These are documents that pertain to the property itself, not necessarily our borrower or our client. These are specific documents that pertain to the property itself and the claims that may be made against that property, talking about liens and things like that. So that's what the title representative does. Not to get too in depth on that, but did want to make sure that we explained that there's a difference. There is some overlap between what the title representative does and what the loan officer does. I work closely with title. That said, title does have their own things that are very, very important to you feeling confident about the purchase of this new property.
Yeah. And don't let that scare you, by the way, that there are so many people in the transaction. I like to think of it as this. We are people that look at different aspects of the real estate transaction and kind of go through a checklist and make sure this is good, this checks out. So you have a lot of people in your corner helping you out, looking at different aspects of different issues, right? Because I don't know everything, I can't know everything. And even if I did, I wouldn't be that good at everything. And so that's why we have a financial guy, we have your title rep. And then to go on, insurance, you have to have home insurance on a home. So having an agent or a broker or whatever,
on a financed home.
On a financed home. Yes, correct.
Now,
correct.
if you like roulette and you want to not carry homeowners insurance on your non-financed property, go ahead.
Yeah.
But you're right. Like you said, on other properties, you do have to have homeowners insurance.
Right. Again, would highly recommend insurance. Just let's go ahead and state that. But sure, you can do whatever you want. So insurance, you can be an insurance agent, or I'm going to name a couple other people in the industry, but this is kind of a broad spectrum of people. Administrative support, so TCs or transaction coordinators, people on the real estate side that just deal with documents. Not just, they deal with documents and they do a lot of things behind the scenes that really help us out, or front desk for people like that, or property managers. A lot of people think they're synonymous or that they're completely different. They're similar in a lot of ways, but they're also very different in a lot of ways. For example, they're similar in the way that you actually get the same exact license. So a real estate agent gets the same license from the state as a property manager. They pass the same test, do the same courses, but man, those two jobs are very different.
Absolutely.
Because obviously one is managing properties, one is helping buy and sell. Very different things. Ask anybody out there that's in property management. Either they hate sales and they never want to get into it, or you go to an agent and they're like, I hate property management, never want to get into it. Ask me how I know. You can be an appraiser, right? So with the bank, one of the parts of the process is they send out an appraiser that goes to the house and they say, yes, it's worth the amount that you are trying to buy it for, or no, it's not.
Yep.
In a nutshell. that does require a 4-year degree. Some of these roles and positions, varying by company, will require degrees.
Right.
But yeah, you can be an appraiser, you can be an inspector,
Yeah.
which is somebody that goes out and looks at a house. Usually they have some general contracting or some sort of contracting skill in some way or fashion, and they look at a house, they work for you, and they say, this is something you should look out for, this is something I might avoid, something like that. And then, yeah, you can go name some of the others.
So we talked about the inspectors. The other one, there's other roles there too. You could be a builder or an architect, right? And so let's say you'd like to, you're into engineering.
Yeah.
You not necessarily like to be an architect. It's not just about drawing. It's about how things work, how buildings work, things like that. So, if let's say you want to get into the real estate industry, sales doesn't really matter to you. You don't really care about that, but you do just like design and you like engineering. Then it could be to be a general contractor or an architect, right? So the general contractor oftentimes works with the architect to get the project done. The general contractor can have many different skills. As a matter of fact, they do have many different skills. They can swing a hammer and cut a pipe. What else? That was a
I
good
think that's pretty much it.
Yeah,
right?
that was
all
pretty
they do.
smooth. Boy, that was pretty smooth.
No, but everybody thinks, oh man, they're just like fixing a tile or whatever. Sometimes general contractors or contracting companies, they'll do a full basement remodel or they'll do house additions. Like, these are not small jobs. We're not glazing over them just because we think they're unimportant. We're just glazing over them because A, we're not those people. We don't know a ton about them. And B, we're not going to quote a bunch of numbers or facts or figures because there's so much variability, right? Maybe
Absolutely.
you're in North Carolina, you're listening to this. General contractor may be something that you have to get a license for, or other states are not. There's a lot of differences. We don't want to quote things that aren't accurate because obviously we're in Colorado. So.
Yeah, well, 100%. I think that, ultimately, whatever you do within this, whichever role that you decide to pick within the industry, it's a few things. You gotta like be committed to it. You've got to not only be committed to whatever the roles are or whatever the responsibilities for that role is, but you've also got to be committed to learning more about how it connects to the other parts in the process as well.
Yeah.
To me, that's an important part of bringing value to the industry and also being a good teammate. I think that if we're on a transaction and I, as the insurance agent, don't understand my role or how why the loan officer needs the quote for the homeowner's insurance that day, then, I'm kind of lackadaisical maybe on returning that information, and maybe that causes that borrower's offer not to be accepted that day, or something along those lines.
Right.
So it's a part of being a good, good teammate in the industry. Other first steps. So alrighty, I've decided that I'd like to be a general contractor, or I'd like to be, work in title.
Yeah.
Now what?
Well, I would say first and foremost, both of us were kind of fortunate the way we got in. Some people fall into things or they have poor expectations of what to look out for, but I was very fortunate to have somebody that I shadowed.
Yep.
And I did that while I was taking my courses, and I got sort of real world experience, and that was very valuable.
Yep.
And the other thing was I had a lot of support in many different ways, like where I was staying, and financial support is huge. I think that's super important because people often get in, or they see social media, or they see really experienced people, and they're like, oh, cool. So I won't have a boss, and I'm going to make 6 figures a year pretty much doing nothing.
Easy.
Yeah. So I know that's what you see. I know that may be what it looks like. And I know everybody says this. I'm not trying to justify my career choice, but it really is a lot of hard work. And it may not be hard in the way that you've experienced before, because if you didn't know, I came from the car industry, and so very rigid, very structured job. I knew exactly when I was getting paid, what I was getting paid, all that stuff. I was also going to school for engineering. That was the way my mind worked. So going into a sales job purely based off commission was really hard. There's a lot of uncertainty. People say it's feast or famine. And so it really, truly is your business, right? You are running a business. It is not just a role or a job or a position. I mean, some of these can be, but I'm speaking really to myself in a lot of these ways. First step is to have a plan, right? You don't have to have everything figured out, but think about realistically ways to support yourself financially and otherwise, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, whatever, and make sure that you are getting into things with the right expectation. Meaning, again, you're not going to know what it's like until you try it. So, sure, jump in head first, but have a plan.
Yeah.
Right? Make sure that you've got backup, you've got support, whatever. If you need to taper into real estate somehow by, weaning off your primary job and then doing more real estate on the side and then kind of, you slide into it, absolutely do that. If you need to pop back a little bit and work a second job, do what you have to do. First of all, there's no shame in that.
Yep.
Second of all, it's a great way to get experience just by doing it.
Yeah.
Right?
And also, depending on your role within the industry, great way to meet new clients. I mean, for people like us, for our roles within the industry, great way to meet new clients. If you are an inspector, then your work kind of comes to you, so wouldn't necessarily need that. But yeah, I agree. I think my number one thing would be to, set a goal. Right, have your goal of what you'd like to do. What does success look like for you in this role? And remember, our SMART goals, right?
Yeah.
That we learned. Make sure they're realistic, they're time sensitive, all of those things, right? But then also, what happens if you don't reach those goals? And I think that's kind of what you were getting to with, kind of having that support. Maybe having, maybe having a second job, or maybe your spouse or partner, is able to keep their job going, and so things don't hurt as bad. But I think it's really important to have it in your head, like, what happens if I don't reach those goals?
Yeah,
and being honest about, okay, if that doesn't happen, then will I need to get a second job? I think that, being able to get a second job and still keep your real estate industry, job as your main focus, demonstrates incredible organizational skills and incredible drive, and all of those things that are going to help you as you get further and further into the industry. The same things that you'll need to do to be successful in year one will certainly build the habits that you need to be successful in year 3, year 5, and year 10.
Yeah. And so again, that's why it's so important to set that up front. Like, what do I want out of this? It's, for example, I'm going to talk specifically about like real estate agent side of things or broker side of things. If your goal is to own a brokerage one day or have a team one day, then you have to be doing the things that support that goal, right? And that might sound like common sense, but you can support that in many different ways, but get on the path that goes that way. Like, if you want to own a brokerage one day, maybe being a contractor, a lender is not the best start for you, right? Maybe that's someplace you've been or you've tried, and you can hop around for sure. But real estate specific, like as the agents, the other thing is, if you want to become an agent, mindset aside, you've made your plan, you're ready to go, like, I'm all in for this. Awesome. That's super exciting. Remember, this is not going to be like a job that maybe that's just me, but this is not going to be just like a job where you clock in and you clock out and that's it. You want to find a place, a company specifically, because you have to hang your license under a brokerage, and then perhaps from there you can have a team as well, or you can be what's called a solo agent. But make sure that you have a company, you find a company that supports you, right? Because again, we keep saying this because it's essential and it's true. It's your business, right? Your clients work with you, they trust you, they like you. Most people don't really care what company you're with, because the truth is that company supports you and how you do your business, right? And I've had a couple of transitions where I've moved from company to company, well, a couple as in one. And again, no like hard feelings, no bridges burned. It's just one supported me a little better, and I like the structure, I like the way we kind of work together. And so on your end, what would you say to that? If somebody's getting into lending specifically, what are they supposed to look out for? Yeah,
I think it's about being able to find it's really about being able to find a place that not only teaches you how to like what's going on in the loan process, right? And gives you all of the industry knowledge and role specific knowledge. I think that's very, very important, but also sales support as well. Right? And surrounding yourself with people who know how to sell and know how to deliver on a client's needs. That may be natural for some people. Other people, it may be a skill that they've got to develop themselves. But You know, and then once you get into there, get in that part, there are so many different niches that you can find within within both sides of this.
Totally.
That, you know, you can find a company that supports you or may not support your niche, you know, so far down the line, right? Let's say you are a person who really specializes with HELOCs. Like, you find that, like, you know, you've got a lot of contacts within general contractors and
Home equity line of credit.
yes, home equity line of credit, right? And so you feel like, man, I really like helping people who are turning their first home into their forever home.
Yeah.
That just speaks to me. And what I'd like to help them do is take the equity out of the home that they first bought and turn it into their forever home. I've got the connections with general contractors. That's what I want to do. Okay, well then, maybe you find a company that has the great HELOC products for you, right?
Right.
But before you get to that point, you've got to just know that you've got to have the loan knowledge, the industry knowledge, and you've also got to have the sales skills to be able to close the deal.
Absolutely.
You know, and so
Yeah, totally.
I think that that's really important as far as like developing yourself. Once you get into the industry and understand who you want to be, you have that base level of knowledge, then you can decide who you want to be and how you want to scale and grow your business.
Yeah, I've actually got something for that too, because while I keep saying like it's your business, that's what's important. You do have a job, right? Like me, you know, you as a real estate agent or you as an assistant, you have a job. You have to do that job, whatever that role is. So let's just say specifically as a real estate agent, you're selling houses, right? You're helping people buy, you're helping people sell. That's kind of the priority. And so again, if you want to grow and scale, which I do. I love like seeing people at their highest and best. I love seeing people operate in the way that they thrive. That's just what gets me excited. I'm on fire for that, right? Sales, it's funny enough, I don't love sales. I'm not like really great at sales naturally, but that's the priority. That's what's gonna pay the bills for right now. And so you have to do that job, and then all the other things that you learn on top of that, because again, I said you're running a business, right? Guess what? I have to pay my own taxes. I have to do my own accounting and scheduling. And I have a team that helps with a lot of the support of just the things that I do in my day-to-day. But if I want to grow and transcend that, then those are things that I have to learn outside of work.
Yeah.
Right? And so running a business, again, they always say, like, if you don't have an assistant, you are the assistant.
Yeah.
Guess what? If you don't have somebody like hounding you, you have to make calls, you have to do this, you have to do that. You have to do that for yourself, right? I mean, you can speak to that too.
Oh yeah, 100%, man. I mean, you know, at the end of the day, we are commission-based salespeople, and so you know, I think that in this industry, not only did I feel did I see more success, I see more results, but I felt better about my business and myself. Was when I was able to kind of be my own assistant and be my own boss.
Yeah.
So I scheduled myself. I made sure that my email was cleared out every day and all of those good things. But then I was my own boss by setting my schedule. Right. And, you know, being on myself about making sure I got on the phone and dialed. You know, in any sales job, you can directly tie your paycheck to how many dials you make daily.
Sean Murphy would love to hear that.
And so the ability to get on the phone and dial, but no, I think holding myself accountable to do those things, you know, being, you know, again, commission only salespeople, I'm the assistant and the boss, right? I'm middle management and, you know, the entry level role along with, you know, and the success that I've seen in the industry, the best days that I've had in the industry, all came down to, you know, making sure that I was the best assistant that I could be for myself, and then also being the best boss that I could be for myself.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's always two sides to it. Again, I don't want to say this to scare you. I feel like I tend to be on the more cautious side of things, just naturally. But I just want you to have a realistic expectation of what that looks like in our industry. Because people see the cars and like, oh, the nice houses, and they just like take a phone call every once in a while, and like now they're rich. Ooh, that couldn't be further from the truth. Oh my gosh, let me tell you.
No, not at all. Not at all.
But like, we have so much knowledge. We have to know so many things as real estate agents and lenders on a day-to-day basis. Just to do one transaction, it feels like, again, like we said, there's so many, you know, people in it that have to know so much.
Yeah.
And, you know, especially in real estate, it's kind of like you take at the very minimum a topical level, like a topical knowledge of things, and you're just putting all the pieces together, right? I'm getting the finance guy with the title company, and insurance with the homeowner, and the homeowner with this, and selling agent with that. And so, communication is number one for sure. Besides like ethical and moral things, like he had mentioned us being your fiduciary, that just is a fancy term for saying we legally represent you and have to put your best interest first, even before ours, right? And that's important because when we represent you, we're on the line for you. So when things do go sideways, we're the first ones to go down, which for you is a good thing, right? You don't want to be the guy that's in court. So yeah, it's exciting. I know that all sounds like negative and like a little scary. It's super exciting. We love talking about it. Like,
what do you love about the industry, or what do you love about what you do?
I'm so glad you asked, Corey. Man, I love, first and foremost, the people that I get to meet and do business with. So not only are my clients and customers amazing for the most part, but also my associates and the people that are professional partners of mine. I love hearing their experiences. I love hearing, their trials and their tribulations and what they went through. But even better, their successes. Like, it's so cool to see people thrive in very different ways, because what I always tell people is this: real estate is highly multifaceted, right? Even in just my sector of things, you can be a property manager, or you could be an assistant or a TC with very similar skills to what I have. And they're all very different jobs, if you will. Or if you run a team, or if you run even a brokerage, that's very different. Or if you're in the legal side of things, right? So to me, even just in my role that's here now, it's different every day.
Yeah.
It's different every day, and I love that so much. And obviously, like the freedom of, it's funny because I always say it's like, sure, I technically don't have a boss telling me when to be at work, but I've never worked more or harder in my life.
1,000%.
And somehow I'm less stressed than I ever was at any other job.
Yes.
Don't know why.
That's beautiful.
I love
That's
it.
Beautiful. I think what I love about the industry is the people, right? Like, I love the people that I get to meet and work with, work for. I think that's just, I'm a people person. I try to choose to see the good in people, and I choose to see the positivity in the world and the awesome things that are going on in the world. And so getting the chance to be a part of such a positive thing for people is just, I love it. I also love just like being a part of, change.
Yeah.
I think that the world is changing, obviously, and I think that being a part of, the opportunity to improve people's condition is really just means a lot to me. And so, I've had other jobs that, I've done really well in, and I've had other jobs that certainly validate me as far as intelligence or, striking good looks.
That you got.
No, but this validates me as a person, and validates me,
like it's purposeful.
Forward. Yeah, it's purposeful. And so, they could, put me in the ground, but as long as I, help people purchase homes and help them have a better understanding of their personal finance, and help their families get more opportunity down the line, then I think that, I've done what I came here to do.
See, and you touched on something that's really amazing about that is I know you see it this way as well, but I personally see my primary role as an advisor and or educator, right? Because again, that's actually one of the biggest reasons why we started the podcast is we have information that we have learned or acquired or whatever, and we think it's valuable, and we want to share that with you. And again, the whole purpose of this is we think that the professional knowledge that we have could benefit the general public so much. That's why we're doing this. And we genuinely believe that if everybody had this, or more people had this information, that there would be better decisions, like choices would be better, because we want you to be responsible with your choices, not just in real estate or in finance or business or personal, but in every aspect of your life. And I think this is just one little sliver of that, and hopefully we can add to your day and add to your life and your legacy.
Yeah.
I know that sounds very extreme, but I think that's certainly a part of it.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to do. Whether we get you into the industry and, now you have a new career, or we help you, make an informed decision on your home purchase.
Yeah.
Either way, those things are helping you, really, really, boost your legacy. And so, no matter what, guys, in whether you're getting into the industry or purchasing or selling, there's always going to be an innovator,
The Imitator.
and an idiot. I'm Corey Martin with Bank of England Mortgage here in Denver, Colorado. If you have any questions about personal finance whatsoever, please don't hesitate to reach out to me, Corey Martin, on Facebook, or Mortgage Consultant 5280 on Instagram.
Yeah, and I'm Kyle Wong with Moxie, Colorado. And if this is interest you at all, or you just want more information, schedule a call below. You actually get us, you actually get our numbers. We would love to walk you through the process, whether you're looking to buy, sell, rent, or get into the industry, because we have insider knowledge. And so if you want to schedule a consultation, I'm starting a program so we can start with new agents specifically. And man, Corey's the guy. He can help you, walk you through it, and potentially you could be right here next to us working with Corey.
That's right. Let's do it, man. Thank you guys for coming. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.